Hello and welcome. I am Rachel Hill, the CEO of Travel Logic Global. Travel Logic Global is a marketing agency that supports tourism bureaus, government agencies, and travel organizations and brands increase their tourism revenue and their brand awareness utilizing digital marketing and social media and communication strategies. In this video, we will be sharing with you a case study of a project that we worked on with Sweet Home Alabama, or the Alabama Department of Tourism. But the name of the project is called Sweet Home Alabama. So without wasting any more time, let's hop over into the case study. I am going to share my screen here. Okay, let's get going. So here we are with Welcome Sweet Home Alabama. And first, let's talk about the summary and the primary goal of this particular project. So the Alabama Tourism Department wanted to highlight their United States Civil Rights Trail to Black American millennials who primarily lived in the southern states of the United States. The goal was to showcase attractions in cities like Birmingham, Alabama, Mobile, Selma, and to implement a solution utilizing social media and email marketing campaigns to make this civil rights trail something interesting and essentially to push their historical tourism initiatives. And ultimately, the goal was to highlight the US Civil Rights Trail to Black American millennials, specifically to honor Southern history and also to dispel the maybe not the myth, but there is a lot of history in Alabama as far as Black history and civil rights is concerned, and it's not very pretty history. So Alabama was trying to find a way to make learning about Southern history interesting and not something that is traumatic to a particular demographic of travelers. So really quickly, we will go over some of the high level KPIs that we identified with Sweet Home Alabama, or with Alabama Tourism. So number one, we had a group of influencers, and one of the requirements or the KPIs was that the influencers, these travel influencers, they were travel influencers. We also had some history travel influencers who were bloggers who had videos. And one of the KPIs was that we wanted at least 10,000 impressions on these pieces of content that they were producing. So blog post was the main KPI, but we also had some influencers who had large Instagram followings, which would also count for this as well. Got a little brain freeze there. Okay, and on social media, we also wanted to make sure to receive at least a 3% increase in engagement across social media with these influencers. Again, we didn't want them to be on the civil rights trail and not be, fun and it's traumatic and, heart-wrenching. And while that was true, we also wanted to highlight other things to do in Alabama, like the amazing Southern food culture, the beautiful structures and history and other things like that. So the role that Travel Logic Global played in this particular project were a few different things. So number one, we had to help develop a marketing strategy, right? So how does Alabama position this project to a demographic of people who may feel differently, right? So as I am a part of the demographic they were attempting to change the narrative for, I came in to help with creating a strategy that would resonate with their audience. We were also responsible for helping to create a social media content strategy. How will we roll out this story of the US civil rights trail and tour from Atlanta to Alabama without it being, again, something traumatic, but something interesting and something that people who live in the southern states can kind of do a weekend trip and do. We also wanted to push the local marketing program. A huge part of this project with Alabama Tourism is that they wanted to make sure that they were highlighting local restaurants, hotels, and other attractions that may not get as much attention. So we made sure to highlight really beautiful boutique hotels, really beautiful and local and upscale restaurants as well. There was also an email marketing strategy. So how do we make sure that this isn't just a glance over a few photos from influencers, but how do we actually make it engaging and make it evergreen, right? So that people can continue to watch and engage in this content and continue to be excited about, traveling to Alabama for a few days to learn about the civil rights and to also eat amazing Southern food, the Southern hospitality, and those sorts of things. We also did some travel copywriting. Again, we had some influencers, but we also had landing pages and other copy that needed to be written, like captions and hashtag research, again, to entice the to entice the audience to essentially watch this. And then, of course, videos and images of actually going through these various cities in Alabama. And so really quickly, let's talk about our results. So initially our KPI was to have a 3% lift on social media engagement, but we actually saw about a 4 to 5% increase in engagement. And that is across several of the influencers that we had. On the 5% side, we saw obviously a higher percent of engagement with our historical travel influencers. It's a mouthful to say, but that's essentially what they were. So, that is where we saw the 5% lift, but where we saw that initial increase in engagement was actually the audience that they were targeting, right? And so they were able. So as these influencers were posting online and posting their content, the audience that they were targeting, which are Black American millennial influencers, Black American millennials that primarily lived in the South, they were able to see other influencers that look like them, resonate with them, enjoying these cities in Alabama. And then and also our initial goal was to have about 10,000 impressions on this content, like I said, with the blog post, but we actually saw about 12,000 to 23,000 impressions on content across different platforms, including blog posts, but not limited to a few videos and a few reels on social media. And here are just a few photos from the trip. On the left, we have a very historical church in Birmingham. And then on the right, we have a photo from Selma, Alabama, which also has a ton of historical significance to Alabama and to Southern history, and more so with the history of the United States as well. So there we go. That is just a super quick case study of how Travel-Logic Global has worked with Alabama to help increase their brand awareness and also execute on this amazing and super successful marketing campaign. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with us on our website, travellogicglobal.com. We are on YouTube and we are also on LinkedIn. So we look forward to hearing from you and connecting with you soon. Bye.